Tom Sloper is a professor at USC. He teaches video game design and management, and the reason I'm sitting in Tom's office is because I wanted to learn more about this whole idea of esports, because he's the advisor for the SC Esports Club. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Larry.
What first got you interested in game design?
I was a big fan of the video game Tank 2, and I liked Qbert as well. Anyway, I was working at a company that made electronic toys, and I had no idea that I was going to become a game designer, but they had a need, and I was the guy to fill it.
So what does a game designer do?
A game designer defines the details of a game concept. Most people think that a game designer originates the game concept. Sometimes that's what a game designer gets to do, but a lot of times the concept is dictated by marketing or business or the boss. And then the game designer is asked to work out the details. The game designer communicates the vision to all of the stakeholders, which includes the game's publisher, developer, and possibly also the platform holder, and in cases of licensed intellectual property, the IP owner as well.
If I remember correctly, looking at my notes, you spent a fair amount of time at Activision.
12 years.
What did you do?
I was a producer, then a senior producer, then an executive producer. For a while, I was working in Japan. I don't even remember what my title was, but it wasn't producer or anything like that. I was basically the guy who could speak English better than the other guy, and Japanese not nearly as well as the other guy.
What is it that makes games and game design interesting to you?
Working in games, to me, the most enjoyable thing was the people. As a producer, you get to work with everyone. You get to work with the programmers, the artists, the designers, the marketing people, the salespeople, the testers. You get to work with everyone, and they're all different personality types, and you got to kind of get along with all of them and get them what they need so that they can do their job and so that your game can be finished and put on the marketplace.
Well, let's shift forward a couple of years. You've moved from Activision, and now you ultimately ended up at USC teaching game design. How did you get to be the advisor for the Esports Club?
They asked me to.
And you said yes. This was how long ago?
I'm not exactly sure. It might have been 2008, 2010. I don't remember exactly.
We're going to be up in the room talking to some of the gamers in just a minute, but I have been in that room before, and across the back of the room are some computers. Where did those come from?
Those came from our esports club playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2 better than the UCLA team. NVIDIA had sponsored the contest and awarded us a bunch of computers as our prize.
So there could be some prize winnings in this esports business.
Esports is turning into a big money proposition. A lot of owners of traditional sports teams and leagues are getting interested in this whole esports thing. Everybody wants to be a sport and then be in the Olympics. And so there's movements for mind sports to be part of the Olympics, a movement for esports to become considered a sport. Maybe there'll be esports in the Olympics someday.
Well, is the esports club here at that level? Is this more of a casual group, or is it much more intercollegiate competitive? How does it work?
On a weekly basis, the folks in the esports club compete with each other. They may also be competing with people at other schools or even players who are not affiliated with schools. But then frequently they do get together and have competitions with other schools in person. So they'll get together in an auditorium, either over there or over here. We had a competition at UCLA one time. It wasn't part of the Black Ops 2. We've had competitions with UCI. When we get chances to participate in broader competitions, then we jump at those.
What's your goal for the club?
I want the students to have fun, basically. That's really all I'm interested in. If they want to compete and go on and get into professional esports, that's something that I'd be happy to support, but really I'm mainly concerned with having the students have a good time.
Do you see students taking their game experience and turning that into game design or game programming, or is there a disconnect? People are interested in game design but don't game.
Playing is not the same thing as making at all. I don't really expect too many of the esports members to go on into careers in making games.
Why not?
Playing games is not the same thing as making games. They're different interests. I mean, people who make games usually play games, but there's an awful lot of game players, the vast majority of whom don't get involved in making games.
One of the things that I saw as I was watching the gamers play is there's lots of different personalities that play games, but is there a personality that is a successful game designer or game programmer?
Yes, so I talked before about all the different personalities that are involved in game development and game creation. Programmers are engineers, and the personality actually is straight-ahead thinking. You tackle problems in a systematic approach. And you might think that this engineering mindset leads to dry personalities, but in my experience, programmers are often very quick-witted and very funny people, despite what you would think from that engineering mindset. Players, to be good at esports, you have to be very competitive. And you also have to be a team player, because a lot of esports are team games. And so they need to be competitive yet cooperative.
Do you see that esports could become an intercollegiate activity like basketball or football or track?
Absolutely, and that's starting to happen now. The momentum is building there.
Tom, you've had a chance to work with this club for multiple years. What motivates the players?
Some of them are motivated by their competitive spirit. Some of them are motivated by school spirit. Some of them are like, I want the other students on my team to think I'm a great player. And some of them are, I want USC to win. And there are maybe some who are thinking farther down the road and really want to be professional esports players because there's a lot of money to be made there.
But it strikes me that the overarching theme is the social aspect of game playing. Is that a true statement?
Absolutely. The people who are in the club are there to enjoy being with other people who think the way they do and feel the same way they do. Sometimes they skip getting together up in the classroom altogether, and they go out to the Korean barbecue and just sit and talk and eat.
I'm about to go upstairs and meet with some of the players. What should I be looking at as I watch them work on their screens?
Watch the body language, because sometimes what you'll see is you can't see from the screen how well the game is going, especially if you're not familiar with the game. But you can see from the body language and from the facial expressions, that they're losing or they're winning, and I think that's very interesting.